we're not only we're making a movie, which is hard to do, but we're making a movie with a purpose, with kids involved. And we want to, I had some actors that said they were going to quit. And I couldn't believe it because I don't think they were realizing it. And I told them, I said, do you realize when you say that, who that would hurt? All these people that we spent 8 months shooting a film. Mm-hmm. And I said, but you know what makes me the most hurt would be those little kids that were in our film that were so excited to be a part of a film that will never be made because you quit.
Right.
And that's when I did that a couple times.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Film Goals Podcast. Today I'm with the one and only Trenton Brisco. Thanks for coming on the podcast, bro.
Thank you. And by the way, I am the one and only. If you Google search me, there's no name that's Trenton Brisco. Except Brisco's with an E. There might be a Brent Brisco, but not a Trenton Brisco.
Okay, so
you're not wrong when you say that, actually. No, sure.
I say that about everyone because it's true. There's only one and only of us, of each of us.
This is true.
So yeah, Trenton, you're an actor, producer. Have you directed before or no?
I did. I directed Fractured Turnstile.
Okay, I remember that.
Joey Schraffi, he co-directed with me, but that was definitely my baby, man. So.
Okay. Yeah, so fun fact, you were the first actor I ever casted in anything.
Was that really the first?
It was my first official, like...
Oh, wow.
It was like, I cast that for like a script that I wanted to... It was like a competition.
Right.
And it was like taking a script from like a graphic novel and then turning it into a short film.
Right.
And it was, you played the dad.
I played the dad and you killed me.
Yeah, I shot you in the head.
That year. That year I think I got killed like 4 times in like different films. I was like, what is up with this year, man? And I was a dad each time too. And what's crazy is I had just become a father for real. Yeah. So I was like, what? Now I'm getting dad roles. They just know I'm a dad.
Oh, you were already a dad at that point?
I just became one, dude.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So your kid's like 10 now.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah, I feel like it was almost 10 years.
Really?
It must have been like 2015, 2016.
Because she was on the way.
Okay.
She's 7, dude.
Oh,
you
really?
sure? She was born in 2017.
Okay, so he must have been like right
she
before.
was in the
like
oven. It was right around the time, yeah.
Okay.
Or maybe yours was...
must have been like a year before that.
Yeah, maybe yours was letting me know that I'm about to be a father.
Dad. The funniest thing of that shoot was like you were throwing the kid up in the air.
Yeah.
And then you're so big, like just smashed her in her armpit.
Oh, yeah.
The baby started crying, but we got it done.
They didn't happen. Baby loved me. We're okay.
Oh, yeah, the baby was great. But yeah, that was my first time doing a casting call, and you came out, and
yeah, it was fun, man. It was kind of like one of my first castings here in Vegas. I hadn't really tried to get involved here when back in that. I've only been here 16 years, and the first 5 I just kind of was on the wall, fly on the wall, watching what everybody was doing, and then I decided, let me get my feet wet and start doing acting again out here. But since then I've kind of retired from the acting side. I'll do bit parts in films I'm producing or whatever, but like, I don't know, man. I love producing side. I love watching people, bringing my writing to life is awesome. Yeah. I'm just starting to feel like I love working with people and bringing it all together. And I think that's more enjoyable than going out there and forgetting my lines, getting yelled at by the director. You know what I mean? So I don't want to be yelled at anymore.
Okay. So let's start from the beginning. Like, how did your journey start? I know you were an LA actor first.
Yeah, I grew up in the Bay Area, California, and when I was 15, I take that back. I was like 12. I was making movies with my VHS camera. I have full on. I remember it was called Star Trek: The Brisco Generation, okay. And me and my best friend, he just did what I told him. I was the one, and he just was okay. And I played every part, and he was other parts, but I was like all of them. So I had all these camera angles with the VHS camera. And I even used credits from Star Trek itself. And I put that on the camera, and I played it for my family. And they're like, dude, this kid like really can make a movie. So from there, I just got into acting. I was always into sports and everything, but always wanted to just be an actor. I used to tell everybody at a young age that I was going to move to LA when I was 18. I wanted to go there sooner, but my parents were just like, no, that's not good, only because they just had no idea what to do. Looking back, they wish they kind of did. And then I was going to go when I was 18, And my dad kind of talked me into staying.
Oh.
He was like, "Hey, I'll pay your gas gas for your car if you stay and go to college." So I did. So I went to college and I got my 2-year degree in college. And I said, "All right, Dad, I'm out of here. I'm sorry, I got to go." So I shipped down to LA when I was just turned 22. I had great success on soap operas. I was on Young and the Restless speaking roles twice. I was on Passions twice speaking roles as well. And I got on Port Charles once as well. And it kind of came too quick. I was young and I didn't understand that it's not an easy business to get into. And I thought, wow, this is a piece of cake, you know? And even like older actors that I met there, they were like, what the heck? This kid just shows up and he gets on stuff. And I got on some great little short films with actors that had been in the business. And I was like, this is great. Oh, and I was with, it's called TVI Studios. And back then, TVI Studios didn't have all the regulations they have now. So I was meeting with casting directors left and right. You pay to play. Like you just pay to be in a casting workshop. And then you meet the casting director. Yeah, it's great, but they kind of put an end to that because then they feel like people are making money and they're making money off the actors, and then actors who have money are getting more time, right? You know, so I get it, but at the same time, it was a nice thing. And then from there, I was doing really well. I was also working for Marvel Comics and Universal Studios as Spider-Man, traveling all over the United States. I was at Universal as well. I went down to Disneyland. I was Tarzan. It was great, dude. Yeah. I was Captain America as well at Universal. And I was flying high, man. And I thought, you know, sky's the limit, man. I'm doing great things. And I had some auditions with producers for some major roles and some things that never went, but I still went to them and I was feeling good. I said, hey, you know, a matter of 5 to 10 years, I'm going to be doing great here. Dun, dun, dun. Well, being Spider-Man, I was at Universal and I hurt my back. And it took a process to figure out what was wrong with me to the point where I had a bruised spine. And when you have bones that are bruised, it takes up to 6 years, 5 to 6 years to heal.
Crazy.
So my muscles were constantly spazzing around my spine. So I couldn't do Spider-Man anymore. I wasn't able to go to I was gaining weight. I wasn't able to go. I mean, I used to be way thinner than this, hence a Spider-Man costume. Yeah. I used to be 6'3", 210 pounds, fit, you know. Now I'm a little heavier. But I just knew that I couldn't do any of that stuff anymore. So I said, okay, what do I do? What do I know? And so I started writing scripts. I started writing reality shows too, just because I had an in with Endemol Entertainment. I knew some people there, so I went and would pitch it to them. Well, I won't say nothing about that, but people aren't as nice and they're a little shadier than they come off to be. Yeah. And just know this, everybody out there, other producers who are working for a company need to stay producers too. And if your ideas work for them, they might want to use them, and you might find yourself gone by mistake. So just be aware, cover your butts. Yeah. So from that, nothing was going as planned, and I decided that, you know, being the entrepreneur that I am, I've always wanted to help people, and I wanted to help dudes. Because guys are always making the wrong decisions, letting these women and models, like, giving all their money to them, and not being good guys. You know, I was brought up by an Italian grandmother, you know, a Catholic woman. So I started a magazine, but it was on MySpace. Okay. MySpace. This dates me, right? So I'm on MySpace, and I had the #1 group on MySpace. It was called Glacier Magazine. Okay. All I did was come up with a magazine idea that I wanted to make one day. And I'm like, how am I going to make it? I don't have the money. So I just made a group on MySpace. Well, people were popping on there, man. It got to the point where I was throwing parties in LA for Glacier Magazine. Wow. They were called Glacier Parties. I had a blue carpet out front. I had the backdrop of Glacier, and I had paparazzi showing up. I had some celebrities, like semi-celebrities showing up. Like, you kind of recognize them. Yeah. And I'm like, this is kind of fun, man. And I just was doing those. And eventually people started thinking that I had a magazine, like a full magazine. And I didn't say I did, but they thought I did. Yeah. Went with the flow. But the reason why I'm bringing up Glacier is That was the moment that I knew I was a producer.
Oh, okay.
Because I was able to bring all that together and throw some really killer parties, and people believed in my idea. Mm-hmm. I even had Cindy Margolis say that she would be on the cover of my first magazine. I have the cover. We had her picture and everything. I even had Magic Johnson step in and want to be involved. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this is crazy, you know? Well, yeah. Obviously now I'm in Vegas. I never had a magazine. There's a long story to that I don't want to necessarily get into. But again, shady people screw you over, and then you have to figure out what to do. So I've learned a lot of mistakes, and I learned how to, unfortunately, I've learned to not trust everybody.
Yeah.
I want to, but I can't, you know. So that's what happened there. And I had to leave. In fact, let me just... might as well run a talk. I'm talking, right? let me tell you why. When I left LA,
okay,
I was out of money. I was down to that last drip, and I at the time I owned some houses in Indiana, and the guys weren't paying their rent, so I'm paying the rent on top of trying to pay my bills in LA. So I said, okay, I need to throw one more big Glacier magazine party, and I'm going all out. So I go all out, put a little more money in than this one than I normally do. And we're at the party and there's nobody there, dude. And I'm like, what's going on, man? So I go up to one of my, what are they called now? The promoters.
Okay.
I said, hey guys, what's up, man? What do I pay you for? Like, what's going on? The guys start scrambling. One guy's like, my people are here. The other two guys are like, they start calling people. Well, this party that we had it there before too. It was on 3rd Street. It was a place called, I forget what it was called, but it was on 3rd Street. Okay. The promoters come back and they're, oh man, we screwed up, man. I'm like, what? He goes, we promoted that it was the club 3rd Street. Oh. So all our people that were at a club called 3rd Street, which was not far. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me, man. So I had nobody there. Well, back then, and probably to this day, the bar with the owners, they make a deal. You know, they say, hey, you got to make this much money at the bar, and if you don't, you got to pay the rest. Right. Well, the last time we were there, we made $12,000 at the bar. All I had to do was make $5,000, I think it was. Mm-hmm. So the Italian mob dudes that own the place, because I'm Italian, so I got to roll with my guys, right? Whew. So they come up to me and they're, let's go. They grab me, take me into the office. And he's like, you screwed up, Trent. I'm like, what happened? He's like, you owe us some money. I'm like, oh man, we didn't make $5,000? This many people? He's like, not even close. And I was like, how much do I owe you, man? And he's like, $2,500. I'm like, we only made $2,500? And the place is closing in 30 minutes. Yeah. So he knows it's not going to happen. Yeah. So he's looking at me like, how are you going to pay us? And I just look at him because he kind of knew that my life was a little in shambles at the time. Like, I was ready to leave. And I just looked at him and I got really pissed. And I became Italian. And I looked at him and I got I was mad at life, Yeah. And I kind of shrugged the guy off, his little crony that was holding my arm. And I told him, I'm not paying you shit. And they looked at me like, excuse me? And they thought I was like trying to be a tough guy. And I'm like, come on, follow me. And I go out to the bar. And I'm all about, don't let anybody know that things didn't go as planned. Always take pictures and make things look bigger than they are so that it doesn't look like you failed. I know I failed that night, but I learned from my failures. So I went out there and I said to the bartender, give me, I think it was like, I'll just guesstimate right now. I think it was 5 bottles of Dom and 1 bottle of Cristal. And I got my credit card that had the last $2,500 on that credit card. And I bought that and I brought everybody over. I got on the mic. Nobody knew that I was leaving LA the next day. And I gave everybody glasses, poured, this is to Glacier. And they didn't know it was a goodbye to Glacier. I was shutting Glacier down. Yeah. It was costing me too much money at this point. And I had a lot of bad things happen to me with Glacier. And it went the wrong way too, but we're not going to talk about that. But yeah, so And the Italian guys came up to me and they said, you know what, that was a really good move you did. Didn't see it coming. It was a good move. It was a good move for my people that were my fans or in a sense, my followers. And I'll tell you what, man, if we had social media like it is today back then, I would have been fine. But we didn't, and we just had MySpace. But
that's crazy, bro. Interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, it seems like you had like the bad part of Hollywood that people hear about, you know?
Yeah.
Like that you were in that you were unlucky in that sense, I guess.
Well, I mean, in a way,
dealing with the shady producers and shady like
but
investors.
in a way, I had a good taste of it too.
Yeah, in the beginning, right? Yeah.
And I think everything happens for a reason. I think I got a bad taste also so that I could kind of see it all from all standpoints. And I wrote some scripts about it. I have a TV show called Hollywood, and it's literally about guys trying to make it in the business, like Entourage, but a little bit different. A little different. There were some stories. Big time director. I worked on Spider-Man the movie for the Tobey Maguire one. I just worked on the test shoot. They brought me in because I worked for Marvel, and I was their Spider-Man. So that I did everything to show them how to be Spider-Man. I pretty much taught their Spider-Man how to be Spider-Man because they videotaped me nonstop. A lot of their poses they probably got from my stuff. Like I see posters, I'm like, that's me, dude. That's me. That's my pose. Yeah. And I got treated pretty poorly on that set by that director. And if you know Tobey Maguire's director, you know who I'm talking about. And it really hurt me because, you know, I'm you can't suck me in, you know. I was always a bouncer by trade. So if you aren't personal, if you don't know me personally, you're not going to get to me, you know? And I was wearing a mask. I was Spider-Man, luckily, because if I wasn't, he would have saw my face being upset, and then maybe it would have went more. But yeah, he treated me so bad, dude, so bad. And then I ended up not making it to the movie because I wasn't a union stuntman, and so they wanted people to be stuntmen, and I wasn't. I think they just assumed I was, but I made I think I was like 20 grand off of it. Not bad for just taking the suit they made for Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. They made from my body. Wow. I mean, they of course made it smaller for him, but all the types of materials, and then they also had Spider-Men that were taller. They had to play certain parts, you know, far away. You could see him better with their longer torso and all that. So, but no, it was the only things I regret is not. I won't say I got big-headed because big-headed is such a big-headed word. Like there's so many people that I knew were big-headed. I just assumed I was going to make it because I was doing well. And things just took for a turn. And I should have kept more in touch with the soap opera casting directors because at the end of the day, if you get lines on one of those, that means they like you enough to think that you might become, especially if you go back again, you might become a principal role. And they did. They brought me in for multiple. I just didn't get them. And that doesn't mean that you're not a good actor. That means that they felt the other guy fit that part better. They'll probably bring you back again. But I didn't play that card right. I should have kept in touch. You know, I know actors are like, well, I don't want to be a soap actor. Dude, just be one. Yeah. Oh, well, then you're type. No, there's people that can break out of soaps.
Yeah,
a lot of
people. Yeah, a lot of people.
So if you haven't been able to break out of soaps, it's because you just aren't that good of an actor. You're working. Get over it. You know? Like, God, it's great.
So let's talk about like your move to Vegas. You moved to Vegas and you kind of took a break from acting. And how did you start getting involved in the community again?
Well, I took a break and I started working in mental health. And I think acting follows me because my director that was in my mental health agency, I worked for all these kids and stuff. And I even started fostering kids through that same agency. He wanted to be an actor so bad. And but he wouldn't. I kept telling him what I did. And I know the business, but he was very egotistical. All he cared about was, no, I'm doing this. And I'm like, that's not how it works, dude. You need a team. You need to trust each other. You need to network with each other. I could have totally helped him out, but so we didn't hook up that way. But it still made me feel like it's around. Excuse me, it's around, and I'm like, gosh, I don't think the business is that much here in Vegas. So I thought I'm just going to relax. I'll foster kids. I'll work in the mental health agency. I coached football out here for a little bit. And then what happened? One of my kids in foster care, I was telling them to teaching them how to follow their dreams and stuff. And they had seen me on my soap operas. I showed them videos and stuff.
Yeah.
They think it's so cool. And one day, one of my kids, he just looks at me and says, well, why aren't you following your dreams? And this is Cody. What's up, Cody? And I was like, dang, dude, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. And I'm not one I've always been that way. I've always been, do what you love. Always do what you love. I don't care how much I get paid. I mean, I got to figure it out. Got to get paid a certain amount, but I still want to do things I love. If I'm not loving it, I'm not doing it. I after I got out of fostering, I started this mission to move back to LA. I sold everything I owned. I adopted one of my, what happened was one of my kids wasn't going to be 18 yet, and I didn't want to shaft him and throw him back in the system. And he had said he wanted to move to LA because he knew the people I was going to go live with, and they had daughters. So he wanted to go. So I was all right, let's do it. So I sold everything. I had a job lined up. Their family was going to let me come stay there for a little bit till we get on our feet. And then all of a sudden, his father denied his adoption because he hadn't seen him since he was 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
So I had to wait another year before I could move to LA. So then I lost that job, and then I still had the place possibly. So I was okay, whatever, I'll wait. But then I had to build up a little bit back in my house, but I decided not to. I decided just to kind of keep what I had, But I still was writing. I was still trying to make some things on my own and try to work with my LA people. Like we almost had a film get picked up that I helped, build the relationship. I was the bridge. So I was doing it, but not with Vegas. I was still doing it with all my contacts in LA.
Yeah.
And things were just falling short. And it's frustrating me. And I even got my characters, back then I called them the Extreme Team, and I was trying to build them and sell them to my friends out there. And then one day I just said, I got to look into the film industry. And I was one of the first ones I went to. What was that called? There was some Italian show. He was the mob something.
Okay.
It was bad. Dude. It was bad. And I went to that, and I'm watching. I'm like, this is Vegas. This is what Vegas has to offer. And I'm more power to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was just like, oh man, I got to find something a little better than this because I want to turn it up a notch. So what I did was I found some people in that group that I thought might be able to do something. And I say, hey, come on, let's try it. And I pulled them aside. We just couldn't get it together. And I kept trying to build teams. And then I think that's when around that time I had met you and did some stuff with you.
Yeah.
I think I even mentioned stuff to you about maybe shooting stuff, but you and I never really did.
Yeah.
We just talked and that was it.
Right.
But I tried to build a team good 6 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would grab a director. I'll be honest, every single time, the director egos or lack of ego. They don't think their work's good enough, and their work is. I'm like, dude, you're so capable. Why are you doing this? Things like that. And I just kept thinking, you know what? I'm not going to stop.
Yeah.
I got to keep trying, And and in that time, I also was going to move back to LA again. And then all of a sudden, I found out my daughter was coming.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, well, I guess I'm not moving to LA now because I'm going to take care of this little one. So, but the good thing about my daughter coming was it just kind of drove me to push even harder and to do it with more target, to do it precise so that I can get things done. And that's what I've been doing lately.
That's awesome, bro. Yeah. I mean, it's just a lot of grind.
Yeah.
A lot of grind. But now you got that team together and you made Vegas Traffic.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your role. I know you're the producer of Vegas Traffic.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the role and what attracted you to it and how did it come up?
Well, when I walked out of the movie Sound of Freedom, having a daughter, seeing kids being child trafficked, and it's a real story about real life. I was like, ooh, man. I gotta help. How can I help? Because I'm very charity driven. My heart, I can wear my heart on my sleeve, man. Sometimes a little too much, right? And I knew I had to make something. So I hit up Joey Sharafi and I said, dude, I want to make something, dude, child trafficking film or something. So I knew that putting it out in the world, something will come. Well, Joey also had that same thing, and he decided to write the film, that Vegas Traffic. And when he presented it to me, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, yeah, dude, I want to help. But it was during the school year, and I was a teacher at the time, and I was like, dude, I can cast it. And he's like, I need more than that, dude. I need you. And I was like, I know, but I'm not gonna be able to do much.
Yeah.
And so we made this time frame that we're gonna do it in. I said, okay, all right, I'll sacrifice my life for that time frame. Well, that time frame went from 3 months to 8 months, and it was rough. And I produced it. I did everything. I was the first AD. I did sound sometimes because we lost our sound guy. Sometimes it was a juggle for me. I was scheduling. It was really, 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 really hard. And I'm so happy we got it done. And we had a lot of we had a lot of help. I'm not a godly person, but I say God was on our side, dude. We did have a lot of help, but then near the end, I felt like somebody was trying to stop it from being completed, and I was putting out a lot of fires. You know, I was like, God, man, what is happening? Even to the point where I was in the hospital with Bell's palsy. We had 3 more shoot days, and I'm in the hospital. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. So, but we got it done, and the thing about us getting it done is a lot of films in town, they make their film and then they don't do anything. They just sit and wait. Yeah. And me and Johnny and Joey as well, but we really were like, no, we got to market the shit out of this. And we have a story too. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about child trafficking, and we want to help bring awareness. So let's just use that because that's why we're making it. And so it's become a movement more than a movie. So we're excited to see where it goes. We're going on our 3rd screening and at Notoriety. The first screening we did at Beverly Theater. The second screening we did at the Space. And now the 3rd screening will be at Notoriety.
Where's Notoriety?
Notoriety is Fremont Street. It's
a theater?
It's got multiple things there. Things. It's by the Nerd. Okay. So you go into the back. Right. But behind Heart Attack Grill, I think it's called. Okay. And that'll be March 1st. We're going to do, I think it's like a 5 o'clock showtime, 4:30 doors. And then we're going to have, it's a 2-hour movie. So, and then we're going to do a Q&A afterwards. And then we're going to do have drinks and have a little mixer afterwards. So we've done that. We're going to have possibly the human trafficking squad, the police, they're going to come. And then also Councilwoman Seaman. She's all about the human trafficking stuff here in town. She's gonna make her appearance. Our last one, we had Lieutenant Governor show up. We're hoping to get the governor this time. Wow. The word is out to them, and we're hoping from other people as well. We're hoping for whoever watches this, please come out. We didn't charge the first 2 times. We're charging this time, but proceeds of it are going to go to charity. To do more of these screenings in other cities, as well as maybe another one here in town. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it.
That's great, bro. So you said you put out a lot of fires. What is some of the challenges that came up that you can think of that?
Well, I mean,
that could help people.
You know, when you're running on no sleep, we're spreading ourselves thin. We're working every weekend. Plus, we all had our day jobs. Yeah. You know, and people were coming. They had to make sacrifice. There's actors that had to make a sacrifice. I needed them to be there on Saturday. They said, "Hey, I work my other job, but I can come shoot that and go back to my other job." Stuff like that. Yeah. And when they come on set and there's butting heads, you know, I was always putting out the fires. I was always like, "Hey, come on, man, guys. You know, this is usually what ruins sets is people's egos. Right. You know." And let's just remember what we're doing here. You know, we're making a movie, which is hard to do, but we're making a movie with a purpose, you know, with kids involved. And we want to, you know, I had some actors that said they were going to quit. And I couldn't believe it because I don't think they were realizing it. And I told them, I said, do you realize when you say that, who that would hurt? All these people that we spent 8 months shooting a film. Mm-hmm. And I said, but you know what makes me the most hurt? would be those little kids that were in our film that were so excited to be a part of a film that will never be made because you quit.
Right.
And that's when I did that a couple times.
Well, it's true. Though. You're letting the kids down. Yeah.
Yeah. And not just the kids though. Like imagine we were all kids once,
yeah.
You know, and some of us that were on set never made a film before. Mm-hmm. So you're going to let your ego, you know, but luckily they didn't. Yeah. And they understood and they were right. And I get it. They were tired, you know, but there's other situations where there's those people out there that they don't think like that, you know, and it sucks.
Yeah. So what is you guys' plan now that, I mean, I know you're screening and you're trying to get other cities to see it. What is your plan with the film, releasing it and all that?
Yeah, I mean, we already have multiple distribution companies have reached out. Okay. We're just waiting for them to all come in with what they want to give us, and we're going to weigh out our options. We would possibly we'll probably go to Angel Studios and submit to them as well. We definitely are going to submit to some of the major film festivals. We have some ins with some now, which is nice because you need an in with some. And then I think the idea is we're trying to utilize a nonprofit that we made called Stop the Traffic. And we want to still show the screening of this film in other cities and then do the Q&A afterwards with the local actual city officials to teach their city how it works in their town and stuff like that. So we're doing it with a purpose now, you know. That's the idea. The only issue we talked about was what if distribution says no to that? What if they say, no, you can't do those screenings anymore because we have you? I'd like to try to talk them into allowing us still. Yeah. And then we could motivate people to tell people about the film, to go see it. Mm-hmm. We're just doing one screening. You know? Yeah. We'll see. But if they say we can't, the other idea was we can do a submission for people to submit their films that have to do with child trafficking. And the one that we feel fits the best could be a one that we do the screenings with the money that we gain from Stop the Traffic. Right. So Stop the Traffic is really just helping bring awareness through film, you know, and it doesn't have to be our film. It could be anybody's film. So, okay.
Damn. So now you're like creating a whole movement. It's not just a film.
Yeah.
Did you think it was going to go this way?
No.
You thought you were just going to release a movie?
No, yeah, dude. We thought, and it just started happening. Yeah. You know, after the first screening, we had all these questions afterwards. I was like, dang, we should have had like people on the panel. Right. So we tried that on the second one with one person on the panel or two. Well, we had somebody talk to people then anyway, and it worked and people they liked it a lot. And I thought, you know, this could get even better. And it doesn't need to be the actors on stage afterwards, maybe for 5 minutes, but it needs to be these people. Right. You know, that's what we're there for. It's not about us. And some people need to know that. Not everything's about you. You know what I mean? Right? Like film goals. Yeah. Not about you, brother. It's not about
it's about the guest.
No, but seriously, one thing I've learned in my life, no matter what happens in your life, even if it's a bad thing that you went through, you ever thought that, and you're trying to figure out why, right? Why me? Why me? Yeah. Well, maybe that wasn't happening to you. Maybe you were just in the line of fire. Right. Maybe it was about Angel, you know? Yeah. So sometimes we just need to know that not everything is about you, you know?
For sure. All right. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast, bro. Yeah. You've had a long journey, and I think people need to hear that, you know?
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's important. Appreciate it.
So I'll leave your info below. Go check out Vegas Traffic March 1st at the Notoriety.
And I'll see you next time.
All right.